My boyfriend took what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas way too literally, and now he's begging me to not let him stay on the streets. Hi all, so my boyfriend, 26M, and I, 23F, recently planned a trip to Las Vegas with a few of our other couple friends. There were supposed to be a total of 6 of us, but due to my job, my request for time off was denied, and I was unfortunately unable to go. I wouldn't have cared so much about missing work anyway, to be honest, but I had just recently gotten this job. When I found out that I wasn't able to go, I was understandably upset and didn't really want my boyfriend to go either. Call me selfish, but I didn't want to sit at home alone while my boyfriend and our other friends were enjoying their time on a trip I was supposed to be on as well. We argued a bit for a few days about him going, and I eventually gave in and said he could go. We had set, in my eyes, very clear boundaries about what was and what was not okay regarding girls, adult entertainment clubs, and so on. Some of my boundaries were, when at an adult entertainment club, looking is allowed, money is okay to be thrown, obviously, because this is how these women make their money, no touching, grinding, or dancing with other women, no talking to women in a flirting or suggestive way, no giving out your phone number to girls, and the obvious no kissing other people or doing the deed with them. There were some others that I don't think are that relevant to the story. He agreed to all these, and we have pretty good trust. Most of my anger was coming from the fact that I wasn't able to go and have fun with them. So, when they went on the trip, I was sad and feeling bad for myself the whole time, but I called my boyfriend every day to see what they were doing and if they were having fun. I didn't suspect anything at all, our friends acted normal, and so did he. When he got back, one of our friends in the group, we'll call her Sarah, pulled me aside to let me know that my boyfriend had, in fact, been grinding on women, taking them back to the Airbnb, and doing God knows what with them. She said she had never heard anything that indicated they'd done something intimate, but I'm not stupid, and I think she was trying to make the situation seem less severe. Needless to say, I freaked out immediately and confronted my boyfriend, who adamantly denied everything, as I had expected. I called the rest of our friend group behind his back to confirm, and every single one of them said the same thing. Almost every night, he would get super drunk and bring home a girl, sometimes 2, and bring them to his bedroom and shut the door. None of them admitted to hearing anything intimate happening either. Again, I'm not sure if I believe them. I have no proof, but a gut feeling tells me something further than just hanging out or cuddling happened. Regardless, I confronted my boyfriend, saying I was getting fed up with him lying to me. He kept denying it until he eventually fessed up and admitted everything but seemed genuinely confused as to why I was mad, stating that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I literally stood there with the most shocked face. I explained that we set these boundaries for a reason, and that saying is just a saying and should not be taken literally, especially if you're in a relationship. Am I wrong here? What in the crazy sauce am I listening to? There's not much more to add. We've been going back and forth for almost 2 days over this. I know he's not stupid. He is literally studying to be a clinical psychologist. I just cannot wrap my head around the fact that he genuinely believes in that saying and thinks it's a pass for his actions. I've started contemplating whether he's manipulating or gaslighting me. If he is, I think it's working. I don't know what to believe. If he genuinely believes that phrase holds any meaning, what should I do? Should I leave him or try to work it out? This whole situation is turning me off from him. It feels childish, like a child trying so hard to convince their parents that they didn't know something they absolutely did know. In both scenarios, whether he genuinely believed that was a thing or is just using it as an excuse, I'm extremely turned off. Part of me wants to work it out with him because we have been together for 3 years. He helped me through a lot of trauma, moved across the country to be with me, was the only one who stayed around during my substance addiction, and laid at my bedside after my attempt. I don't want to throw 3 years away because of something that happened on a vacation, but I'm just so torn right now. Thank you for reading, and sorry for the very long post and any typos. It's 3 a.m., and I've been keeping myself awake thinking about this. Update 1. It's 7 a.m., and I've woken him up, telling him that he needs to start getting his belongings together as I no longer feel comfortable living under the same roof as him. We split the rent, but my name is on the lease, and I pay all the utilities, internet, and so on, so I will have no problem being able to afford this apartment on my own. However, he is already trying to start problems about moving out with more delusional sayings like, I seriously didn't know, and, I love you, if I wanted them I would have stayed there, blah blah blah. He's a full-time college student at a private university, and his family lives out of state, so he has no family here but mine, and they have never really cared for him. He is doing an internship at the moment, so I sure hope he can find somewhere to live and a way to survive without living off his girlfriend. Update 2. It's 1 p.m., and he left the house around 8:30 to 9 a.m. As soon as he left, I locked the door. I was literally so happy I got an opportunity to get him out because I knew once he got back in, knowing I was going to break up with him, he wouldn't let me leave or something worse. I started gathering his stuff. He has no key to the apartment since we share a set of keys, so I'm ready to hear him slamming at the door later. To try to avoid this, I've left all his stuff, plus almost everything he bought, outside the door of the main entrance. Our apartment building has an access code that we, as tenants, can request to change every 6 months. I'm going to talk to my landlord about that, as no one has requested to change the access codes in a couple of years. He still hasn't returned or tried to call me, but I'm not waiting around. Everything he needs is outside the door. Update 3. He came back, and let me tell you, it was a crap show, but better than what could have been. Sorry for taking a while to update. He showed up at the apartment around 9:30 p.m., drunk but relatively calm. I'm not sure if he was so drunk he didn't realize that his stuff was outside the main building door, or if he just didn't care, but he walked right past his stuff and straight to our apartment door. I didn't realize he was there until I heard fumbling at the door and then finally realized he was back. I was sitting on the couch and was really not expecting him to come back, but when I heard that knock on the door, I knew it was him. I didn't open the door all the way and yelled through the door that we were over. I had texted him a heads up that I packed all his stuff, but didn't tell him where. I thought it would be obvious when he saw a pile of stuff in garbage bags outside our building. He refused to allow me to break up, but I held my ground and told him to leave. He became increasingly agitated every time I told him he needed to leave. I wanted to yell and scream at him for being a piece of crap so badly, but I was trying to be the mature one. I thought ignoring him would bore him, but it didn't. After about 20 minutes of him hitting the door and screaming at it, one of my neighbors texted me and asked if she should call the police. My neighbor and I are not very close, so she didn't know anything that was really going on, but she definitely heard the thuds and the profanities he was screaming. I thanked her for her concern and told her I would give him another 10 minutes before I called the cops. I also gave him this warning, and he just cussed me out and called me a wanker. I eventually ended up calling the cops, and as soon as they arrived, he complied and went with them. The officer said I could go to the courthouse the next day and file for an order of protection to more firmly ensure he couldn't come to the apartment anymore, but obviously couldn't guarantee that it would stick since these were not necessarily dangerous pretenses. He dropped his tough guy act as soon as the actual authority figures got there. As he was being escorted away, he switched from screaming profanities at me to begging for my forgiveness and apologizing. What a mind-boggling experience. So, I'm sitting here at 12:30 a.m. trying to calm my mind and finally get some sleep. Tomorrow, I have an appointment with my PCP to get tested, and I will stop at a hardware store to get some new locks for my apartment to be safe. I had to wait for my landlord's approval for the locks first, and the access code is also being changed tomorrow. I really am grateful to have such an understanding support system around me, helping me get through this time. Even people I'm not even friends with have reached out. It means a lot. Thanks again to all the comments under this post. Hopefully, this is my last update, at least for a while. However, I will update with the legal process or if anything else happens. Thanks again for your love and support. The internet can be a great place sometimes.